So my foray into Bowling Green, Kentucky, Warren County was not successful. I did not get the interview from WNKY. Instead, I was pulled over by the Kentucky State Police and thrown in jail because of an overdue library book from 11 years ago. And I do not have any recollection of checking out a library book and not returning it. Not saying that it couldn't have happened. And then the charge is sort of vague too. It's something about theft by failing to disposition of property. I don't know, something very vague. But basically, the Kentucky State Police officer had said, "Did you check out a library book, or did you fail to return a library book 11 years ago?" And I laughed about it, and I think actually that was the reason why he arrested me, because I laughed that he was asking me. There was a warrant out for my arrest, and so that's what he was asking about, the warrant. But because I had laughed, he said, "Get out of the car," and I got out the vehicle as soon as he said that. And he says, "You want to lock up your doors because you're going to jail," and asked me if I had any drugs or weapons. And then told me to get into the back seat of the car, which he did, but he said that he wasn't going to arrest me or put me in handcuffs. So he did respect my dignity, which I appreciated. But, after the fact, after I had complied with his desire to take me to jail. And, that's the level of injustice. The level that you politely submit will be the level of injustice that is perpetuated upon you. And so, I complied, but I wasn't happy with it. I stayed in jail for about 3 hours. The jailers are very cold. I guess they're cold-hearted. They want to, everybody that comes through the doors, they assume is guilty, and they just treat them like crap. They told me to take my shirt off, my tie, suit jacket, and empty out my pockets. They took off my watch. They put it in the bag. They put them in two different bags, my personal stuff, and then my clothes was in two different bags. They just made me sit in a holding cell. And then after 3 hours later, they give me my stuff back. They give me my clothes back, and then they give me paperwork saying that I had posted a $100 bail and that I needed to return again. I have to go 2 times back to Bowling Green. First time I've ever been to Bowling Green, and so actually I got to go through the bowels of Bowling Green. I got to see the underbelly, and it's not good. I mean, the jail's corrupt. There's just because someone accuses you of a crime, just because a police officer takes you to jail, that does not necessarily mean that you're a guilty person. I'm innocent. I have no idea. They need to provide, the burden of proof is on the state. They need to provide evidence that I checked out a book and that I didn't return it. And it's 11 years. There's a statute of limitations. The warrant was reissued in 2011 by an Easterling, Kenneth Easterling, a Kenton County district judge. I don't know Kenneth Easterling. And then the original complaint was filed by a person, Simpson, by last name of Simpson, Kareem Simpson. So Kareem Simpson had filed a complaint in 2001, in January 2004, my bad. And then 2011, the Kentucky State Police transferred over to the e-warrant system, and they streamlined the process, and they all got on one online account, and it's the e-warrant system. And so I guess when they switched from the paperwork to the online electronics, they had went ahead and reissued all the warrants that had been on paper, even though it was 7 years later. And so Kenneth Easterling went ahead and issued a warrant for me in 2011. Now, I've been pulled over several times, and they've ran my name, they've ran my social security number and my birthday, and I guess every time that it popped up on the screen, that this other, this alias, this person has a different name, but same social security number, same birthday, same information. But they never asked me about it. They never said anything about it. They never presented it to me. They didn't understand it. They didn't want, I guess, to ask me about it. If they would have asked me, I would have told them, and I guess we could have handled this a long time ago. But still, a warrant for a library book, and then that you have to prove to me that there's a library book. You got to prove that to me. I can't say that 100%. It's possible. It's possible. I checked out a book, and it's possible I didn't return it. That's possible. But I don't remember it. I don't recall. So you can't just make up crimes that don't exist. It's 11 years ago. I mean, there was one time I was at Pilot gas station when I was, 20-something years old. And afterwards, me and a couple of the guys who were my coworkers, the guys who were working there, we went around doing we went on some equipment. There was a construction site nearby, so we went around turning on the equipment and playing with the machines, and it was a ton of fun. And then we did some donuts in some suburbs in like people's lawns, and the cops were called, and we took off. And then one guy, we basically just blamed it on each other, and neither one of us got in trouble for any of it. So that's something, the cops are involved then too. And so I guess they couldn't, they didn't do anything that day. Well, I guess the cops were involved. My point is that if I think about some things I've done in my past, like, nobody's perfect. I played baseball with mailboxes with the same group of people from Pilot in Richwood, Kentucky. I worked at Pilot while I was going to Xavier University. This is right out of Gallatin County. I graduated Gallatin County in 2000 when I was 18, moved away, didn't return until 10 years later. Okay, so I played baseball, mailbox baseball. So, I mean, that's something that had happened. And so if they was like, hey, there's a warrant out for your arrest, it's a federal crime, blah, blah, blah. That's something that I distinctly remember. I don't distinctly remember that it wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentional if I took out a library book. And I don't know. I mean, I was pretty obedient in school, but I also felt like I had to sort of break out of my nerdy posturing or my reputation. And so, with the guys from Pilot, I guess I was trying to be cool with them. And I'm not, I'm not going to say I'm proud or not proud well, I mean, I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it. I don't go around hurting. I hate, recently the snow plow cleared the roads, but the pile of snow knocked my mailbox over, and I was mad. I was like, that's a federal crime. I should sue. So that was horse crap that I participated in that. I'll also tell you this story too. It was a rough group. There was some people that I actually had gone to school with was working at Richwood, so it was kind of like our adult chapter, our first adult chapter. I had drove to one of my friends' place late at night, but it was after I got off work about 11 p.m. just to kind of chill and hang out with them. And when I drove, he lived out in the country in the middle of the woods. When I drove out to the middle of the woods where he was at, he even had a drawbridge. You could walk across this bridge that was over a creek. You couldn't drive to the house. You had to walk across the drawbridge. So they had like a little moat. I think it was a trailer, kind of a poor, a house, but it had a big creek in front of it. So it was a sort of a moat. It had a natural protective barrier there. And as soon as I pulled up, immediately someone says, "Get out of here!" and then started firing gunshots. And I was like, okay, slowly put it in reverse, slowly getting out of here. Please don't hurt me. Going in reverse, turn around, see you later. And that, that was just a couple of stories from my Richwood Pilot days. So, and Xavier, 2004, it's 11 years ago. It's such a long time ago. I've had 50-something jobs. I had 20-something addresses. I've had, quite the experience being a working class man out here. I've had a lot of crap jobs, a lot of dead-end jobs, and doing whatever it is I can out here in order to survive and to, keep the lights on and to keep on feeding myself. So, this is stupid. This is petty, and it's a very strong chance they're absolutely wrong about it. And if they can't even say the name of the book or what the information is, this is bullshit. This case is going to get thrown out. And to get arrested, to have a warrant out for someone's arrest and to get arrested, we have online. We have the internet these days. So since we have the internet these days, we don't need library. We don't need no education. And Pink Floyd was right. So this actually has nothing to do. This is my origins, I guess, with Bowling Green, and since in 2004 I became Jonathan Masters, I actualized myself into existence. Just made me think about origins of the names of places and cities. So Bowling Green, where does the name of Bowling Green come from? Warren County, where does the name of Warren County come from? The 120 counties in Kentucky, and the majority of them are from Indian genociders or slave owners. I live in a county, Breckinridge County was named after a slave owner. He had 1,000 slaves or something. I don't know, he probably didn't have that many, but he had slaves. John Breckinridge, who was also the Secretary of State for Thomas Jefferson, filed the resolutions, the Kentucky resolutions, to protest the Alien and Sedition Acts by John Adams. And so Breckinridge County is named after a slave owner. There's you got Clay County, is named after Henry Clay, who was a slave owner. Daniel Boone, Simon Kenton, they were the pioneers. They owned slaves and they shot Indians. That might not have been their only characteristic, but that's an important one. It's a blight on American history. And while those are sort of heroic figures, when you go to Owen County, who gives a crap about Owens? Who is this guy named Owens? He tried to kill some people in Detroit or somewhere in Illinois, some Indians, and he got killed himself. And in Hardin County, I think a very similar thing happened to Hardin. And Meade County, James Meade, I think he got killed by Indians too. So, there's 120 counties. I actually want to make a list of kind of documenting the names and origins of all the counties in Kentucky, because when the majority of all the counties are named after these historically extraordinarily racist people, we got a lot of good heroes. Breckinridge County was named after John Breckinridge, but there's good Breckinridges. There's a WCP. WCP is what he's known as, WCP Breckinridge. He was opposed to slavery, and he was in favor of Haiti and W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, and encouraged people to read and to learn these things. So WCP Breckinridge is a hero of Kentucky. He's a hero. He was way before his time. The people in Kentucky were, racist to the kilt or to the tilt. There's a lot of slave owners, and slavery was legal here to begin with. So for him to take a stand, so when we honor slave owners and Indian genociders, we forget about those who fought against the genocide, who fought against the slavery. And so WCP, Breckinridge County was named after John Breckinridge, but the Breckinridge name isn't tarnished just because of him being a slave owner. WCP Breckinridge was a great Breckinridge. And so, I think when it comes to history, really the truth, the most accurate truth. George Washington wasn't the greatest of people either. He killed lots of Native Americans. He was a slave owner, started the Fugitive Slave Act, and but he did step down after 8 years. So he started a precedent of having term limits for the presidency. And so that's, give credit where credit is due, and give debit where debit is due. If someone nobody's perfect, nobody should really be worshipped or idealized as some sort of God figure. Everybody's human, everybody's capable of good and evil in them. So, Bowling Green. Nobody knows, okay? So Warren County is actually named after a revolutionary hero. And I can't hate this guy, because a lot of people in the Revolution, and especially in the Western theater, were killing Shawnee, Cherokee, Shawnee Indians, Yamacraw, killing whatever the Green River Indians. You want to talk about Native Americans that came out of Warren County, that came out of Bowling Green? They were the Green River Indians. And the Green River Indians were very sophisticated. They had burnt clay floors. They had permanent dwellings. They had fish. They knew how to fish. They knew how to catch mollusk and shellfish in the rivers, and something else. They were buried with their dogs, so they were very civilized. They had pets. They had dogs as pets, and so they were more advanced than a lot of the Native Americans that we read about. And these are like 7,000 years ago. These were the natives before the Shawnee, assuming that there were actually different natives. I think there's been a long, continuous history of really the same peoples occupying Kentucky. But anyways, it definitely wasn't empty or devoid of Native Americans. Native Americans is very intricately related to Bowling Green and Warren County history. It's related, the Green River Indians is related to Breckinridge County history, which has tributaries that eventually lead to the Green River. It's got the Rough River. So we got the Rough River here. We also got an airport and trains and transportation. And so the fact that there's not much industry here is ridiculous. It is being held back by some of, the old fogies, some of the old cronies, the good old boys club, but that's Kentucky. It's expected, right? Private pocket tyrannies are in every county, and the people who rule the county are those who control the courthouse. Usually your county attorney, judge executive, and your sheriff. It's a triumvirate of power between those three, and the clique who runs the courthouse is the clique who runs the county. So, Joseph Warren, I can't hate this guy because he only fought in the Revolution, but he didn't kill Native Americans. He was this hero. He wasn't even in Kentucky, never even came into Kentucky that I know about, but he was part of the Battle of Bunker Hill. He was a major general there. There was the death of General Warren at the Battle of Bunker Hill. I guess he died. He died at Bunker Hill. And, so he's been memorialized many times because he's the one that commissioned Paul Revere and William Dawes. William Dawes, who actually made it. He was the writer who actually made it to his destination. Paul Revere was caught by the British. He was captured and only went to one of the 3 cities or so that he was trying to get to. So Joseph Warren is who Warren County is named after. That's pretty cool because it's a sort of an untainted American revolutionary. I think Simon Girty is more of a revolutionary, an American revolutionary, than George Washington or Joseph Warren. But we did fight the British. It's good that the British are not controlling us. It's good that we aren't being oppressed by foreign governments. Now we're engaged in oppressing ourselves, right, with our representative police states, our very thinly veiled democratic institutions. So it even says here, Warren County is the location of several Native American villages and burial mounds. The first white men to enter the area were the Long Hunters in the 1770s. That's when Kentucky was established, was 1774. They were established 2 years before the Declaration of Independence. General Elijah Covington was one of the first landowners. That's significant because Elijah Covington is also who Covington, Kentucky is named after. It's the namesake of Covington, Kentucky, where I was born, St. Elizabeth South. So I have some kinship with Elijah Covington, and he's now down in Bowling Green. So, small world, right? Hey, wait. Bowling Green, y'all had a general that was one of y'all's first landowners named Elijah Covington. I was born in Covington, Kentucky. I also had some kinship with Boone County. My first year of life, which I don't remember any of, I lived on Camp Ernest Road. My parents were sharecroppers, and they were taken to court by the landlord for cutting down a tree that he had actually given them permission to cut down. And so there's some. I grew up in Gallatin County, so I feel mostly Gallatin County. But I was born in Boone County. And that's my roots, my immediate roots. We came from Kenton County. The group servers landed in Kenton County. Some of them went to Boone County, and then eventually they got to Gallatin. And now I'm in Breckinridge County. I cannot get off this Ohio River. I can't. We haven't migrated too far from where the group servers first landed. And on my father's side, that's my mother's side, where the German ancestors. On my father's side, he's the Deatons are actually Eastern Kentucky feudist. There's lots of Deatons. There's tons of Deatons, and there's some, I think, Deaton family reunion. So there's some unity somewhere. But there's Deatons in Carroll County. There's Deatons all over the place. And my father only had one sister. And full-blooded sister, and his father and mother divorced, and there's no other Deatons in the picture. I know of no other Deatons except for people that I've talked to since then. My mother's family was like 100 cousins or so, like just a ton of cousins. I had 9 or 10 aunts and uncles, one who had died already, but they had a bunch of kids. And so I had a bunch of cousins on my mother's side and a big family on my mother's side, but on my father's side there was nobody. He had like second cousins, or I don't know, they were sort of distant cousins. They were my grandmother's sister's kids, and so whoever that would be. His cousins, my second cousins, or my first cousins, once removed, something. We hung out with them for a while, but they got weird, man. One of them shot their wife in the head. so the only cousins, which weren't Deatons, they were Niceleys. So that's the only Deaton family that I grew up around were the Niceleys. Outside the immediate 5 originals. So, this is America. I know myself better than anybody else. And, history. Who do you know Muhammad Ali as? Who do you know Marilyn Monroe as? Who do you know Gerald Ford? Gerald Ford, his name is Leslie. But he's written down in history as Gerald Ford. And so, it's fascinating to me. I don't know. I mean, I love my name. I love who I am, and I know what I'm about. And I know myself through and through. I know myself actually stronger and better than what most people do. And the name is your reputation, so everybody should defend themselves. Everybody should defend their name. Your name is your reputation. And so, like when Kentucky Utilities was bought out by Eon.us or by Pennsylvania Power and Light, we still called it Kentucky Utilities, but it wasn't Kentucky Utilities anymore. It was PPL, Pennsylvania Power and Light. But they don't want to change that. There might be some outrage or whatever. Just keep, New Holland Ford. Ford used to have tractors, then New Holland bought Ford out, and now New Holland has the Ford's blue colors and sells tractors. So, do you still call New Hollands today Fords? And I go on down the line actually with all this because I'm right and you're wrong, so fuck you. But it just origins. Where do we come from? What do the names actually mean? Bowling Green, nobody has any clue what Bowling Green means. Warren County was named after a revolutionary. Basically, it has a very Kentucky beginning story. The frontiersman founded McFadden Station. McFadden Station is Irish. So I feel like I have some, I got like light reddish to my hair. I am 11% African and 89% European by a DNA test. And I know my mother is German through and through. She's like Prussian and Bavarian and Bohemian. So, McFadden Station, I believe I got Irish, but I don't know. I don't know anything about my sperm donor's side. So my mother side is German, and I take that Germanness, but the Germans were actually in conflict with there's friction between the Germans and the Irish. They're two sort of competing newly arrived immigrant groups, and the white Anglo Protestants were not accepting of these German forked Irish speaking tongued people. They're Catholics. A lot of them are Catholics. They were Baptist. Protestants, and they didn't speak English, so they didn't like the immigrants coming to their country that they had, wrest away from the Native Americans, had been here for 100 years, and there's this strong nativist movement. So I don't know. The Irish in Louisville, the 1855 New Nothing riots, you had the whites who killed the Irish and the Germans. But I guess I have a little bit of bias towards the Irish. I don't know. I shouldn't. McFadden Station. I like people's roots, so it's done in jokingly. I feel at allies with the the Irish. Man, being like a politician, you always have to tread carefully with every single sentence you say. McFadden Station, right? A bunch of alcoholics, Irish people. St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick was actually a genocidal maniac. He was a Catholic saint patron of Ireland, but actually he was Protestant, hated the Catholic Church, killed a lot of Druid priests and original Irish people to make way for the new Christians he was converting. and it's the beginning of spring usually, so that's why it's such a big deal. And it's also Irish Americans had pushed the Washington D.C. to get it passed, so it's sort of St. Patrick isn't even about St. Patrick anymore. It's just about being Irish, and everybody's like, oh, everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. Get drunk, alcohol, blah blah blah. The potato famine, the Irish potato famine, was a pretty big deal. I guess I don't know too much about Irish culture. It's English. They're right. It's an island right next to England, and actually, England still owns a piece of Northern Ireland. So they're the first colonized, country in the entire world. Scotland almost seceded away from England or the United Kingdom, but Northern Ireland, if they was to be put up to a vote, they should. I mean, they allow England to be a colonizing force, and that's bullshit. So that's pretty much it. There's McFadden Station was one of the first stations here. He was the first recorded settler in Warren County. Built a home 4 miles east of today's Bowling Green, near the mouth of Drake's Creek. With the increasing influx of pioneers on the Cumberland Trace, he established McFadden Station, which became the rest stop of many marketers heading south and pioneers pushing west. By the early 1790s, McFadden Station visited Illinois, stopped, and they did some things. There's a legend here, which I'll end off with a legend. This is supposed to be informational. McFadden Station, people were born there, died there. Here's an article by the Daily News, September 5th, 93, about where it came from. A lot of people think Bowling Green there was an actual Bowling Green. There was some sort of bowling sports thing, and it was the green lawn, so there's bowling on the green. But that's not true. It's named after the Bowling Green Square in New York City. That's where on a night in 1776, Patriots pulled down the statue of King George III of England in defiance of British rule. So two revolutionary names, two revolutionary ideas actually are in Bowling Green, Warren County. I think it was Joseph Warren. I know I said Joseph earlier. Let's just make sure. Okay, where is this? Where are we? Okay, so they're not going to tell me the history of Warren County on Wikipedia. Yeah, good job, Wikipedia. You know the history of Warren County. Yeah, General Joseph Warren. Okay, so General Joseph Warren is the name of Warren County, and then Bowling Green is named after the Bowling Green Square in New York City. That was where, in the night of 1776, Patriots pulled down the statue of King George III of England in defiance of British rule. Then they took the metal of that statue. It had a gold veneer, and then it was mostly made of lead, and turned it into bullets. So they took down the statue, turned it into bullets, and then fought, used them as weapons in the American Revolutionary War. And so, that's Lexington, Kentucky is named after Lexington and Concord, Lexington, Massachusetts. So Lexington, Kentucky was named after the revolutionaries. And so, the untainted revolutionaries I like. They're not doing it for stealing Indian land, but they're doing it for the noble cause. So the soldier who's fighting for his country is way more noble than a lot of the founding fathers. Washington would actually hang anybody who tried to desert his army, and was a totalitarian fascist, and he lost a lot of his military battles. He was able to sustain and eventually won because of France. France came in and saved the day. And if it wasn't for France, France colonized most of Kentucky. Most people don't even know about the French influence in Kentucky. And there's been a lot of... Boone County, Kentucky was discovered by a Frenchman. The Mississippi River first was discovered by French people, which, hits the western tip of Kentucky. And then the French and the Schipperkitki, they had trading posts here. So the French were very intricately related to the early origins of Kentucky. LaSalle was the explorer. There's a LaSalle. There's a lot of Native American name stuff in Louisville. Anyways, so two revolutionary. That's where Bowling Green came from. It was the statue. It was named after the Bowling Green in New York City. So it's got a New York City too connection, and then Warren County's Joseph, named after a Massachusetts general, who had died at Bunker Hill. So what's the hate about him? He fought against the British to stop tyranny in '75. So he actually died before the Declaration. That's usually what they say was the beginning of the war, is the Declaration. But Lexington and Concord, it was unforgivable, man. You just can't go around killing people. That's unforgivable. They used to say it was originally in 1798 called Bowling Green, so maybe it was named after some bowlings. So where did Bowling Green come from? There's conflicting histories. Nobody knows for sure. Most likely when they pulled down a statue and used the lead to make bullets. But who knows? It could be a bowl alley game of Robert Moore's. It also could be something else. There was like several of them. I read an article. But contrary to the name's inference, there are no historical or present-day accounts of lawn bowls, facilities, or sporting leagues. So even today, there are no Bowling Greens in Bowling Green. And I'm not sure if there's any revolutionaries. There's lots of Nazi fascists in Bowling Green, but I'm not sure if there's any revolutionaries in Bowling Green. So there's no Bowling Green in Bowling Green. There's no Joseph Warrens in Warren County. No Native Americans. All the native people from Bowling Green and Warren County were exterminated and genocided. They wiped all of them out. And today you have a prison establishment there. So some local historians, notably the late Judge John B. Rhodes, in his manuscript History of the City, referred to old records in which mention is made of Robert Moore's Ball Alley. So this is sort of this guy, KentuckyExplorer.com, was checking it out and was like, well, that's not what it is. Oh, there's a Bowling Green, Virginia, so maybe it was named after that, but it says there's only fewer than 700 persons today. And then they said that, I don't know, John Waller Holmes or something. So why is Bowling Green named Bowling Green? Nobody knows. Nobody in Bowling Green knows. Warren County is named after an American revolutionary who got shot at the Battle of Bunker Hill before 1776 in, I think, Massachusetts, right? Bunker Hill. But he never was in Kentucky. He was never actually here. So I don't know. It seems pretty archaic. I don't hate them. I don't hate the name as much as like God, what is one county that I just cannot stand? There's a guy who got he got shot in the groin by Native Americans. Estill County. Estill is only known for Estill's defeat, which he got into a battle with Native Americans and lost. And really it was asymmetrical warfare. Most of the frontiersmen and whites had superior weaponry and technology, and plus, better immunizations to deadly diseases. So they had all the advantages. So for them to lose against the Native American, that's awesome for the Native American legacy, but horrible for Estill. I'm not sure what his name is. John Estill maybe, or Joe Estill, Paul Estill. But Estill County, horribly named. It should definitely change its name. The Jackson County, named after Andrew Jackson, a horrible genocider. They should change their name. And then also the county that's named after McGuffin, whatever they want to call it. Kentuckians have to mess up the words. Versailles. We signed a Versailles Treaty in World War I, but it's Versailles. That's what we call it. We call it Versailles here. Louisville. Louisville is actually named after King Louis the 16th. But we don't say it's Louisville. We don't say it's Louisville. We say it's Louisville. We just say it like a dumbass, really, like a fucking moron. Madrid is Madrid. Harned isn't Harned. So there's a lot of actually fun little Kentucky vibes, Kentucky generated words. So McFadden Station, there's Irish. I like that. I like that there's Irish origins in Bowling Green, Warren County. I like that the Green River goes through Warren County. I like it's one of the biggest cities in Kentucky. It's sort of like a little secret city compared to, Covington, Lexington, Louisville, Frankfort, cities everybody sort of knows about and has like really important business. This is a big city. And being in the western side, being part of like expressways, that's going to get bigger and bigger. So I like Bowling Green, and I wouldn't mind actually living and working in Bowling Green. So I wish I could have got to talk to y'all Bowling Green, enjoy Bowling Green as it is instead of in y'all's jail cells. But seeing the absolute refuse and the crap that the Warren County jailers and how the police operate and act towards other people is ridiculous. It's despicable. We can do better than this. In Mayberry, what we did with Mayberry was you treated people like people. The sheriff didn't even have a gun. He would try to de-escalate situations. He didn't try to ruin people's lives. The Kentucky State Trooper didn't give a crap about my life. Didn't give a crap about anything that I was doing or what I was, about. He was going to go ahead and arrest me no matter what. And he indicated that I would get bailed out really soon. But it took 3 hours, and actually I missed my interview. So he kind of gave me a false notion of I was going to get bailed right out because it was a dumb, stupid charge. And but that never actually happened. That was never the case. And so, he could have used discretion. He was a jerk for jerk's sake. He didn't give a crap. It's a struggle out here. Yeah, I didn't pay my car taxes, which I will get on. I will pay those as soon as possible. But it's a struggle out here. So to make it harder on other people, I don't know. If I was him, I would say go pay your taxes. And I would have, killed the warrant. I would have just killed it right then, just pushed a button, or I would have told me about it. Man, there's something here. I don't understand what's going on. I think you need to get it worked out. So, call Kenton County and let me go on home. But he didn't give a shit, right? I mean, and that's the thing is, like, if I didn't have $100, would I have got bailed out? Would I have stayed in Warren County Jail for a month because they couldn't see me until, a month later? For a library book? That's stupid. That's so stupid. I mean, why is the system broken like this? They should have talked to the judge, right? The judge determines if people can be bailed out. Usually it's a bond or on your own recognizance, depending on the risk. If it's a violent crime, there is no risk. There is no violent crime. And I'll return to court 2 days. 2 days. So, it's a police state. When he was confronting me, I knew that I had no rights or powers. And while I question authority, my, penchant for obedience might have saved me from getting killed. That's what I think of when a police officer pulls me over. Oh, great. Now I'm going to die. He was tailgating me. He sped up to me, tailgated me a bunch. Also, it seems very peculiar. People say there's no such thing as coincidences. Is it possible that we were invited to do an interview, and while I drove into Bowling Green, I would have got arrested right then and there? He spun his car around. He was following me for about 10, 15 minutes. I was even thinking about just going to the gas station, just so he's not tailgating me. He turned around, like he whipped the car around. So he was on a side road, so it could be a coincidence, just weird timing. He was on the outskirts of Bowling Green, saw me coming through, saw that I hadn't paid my tax, pulled me over. Very possible. Or maybe this was an order from the higher-ups. Jack Conway is the Attorney General. In fact, because I'm a candidate, I almost feel like I need some protection out here. They should send me a Kentucky State police officer to protect me everywhere I go. But that's the thing is I don't have any official capacity. I have no official power. So the media, I'm a powerless person, So to attack me, but not to mention who the Kentucky State Trooper's name was, which they also did that with the LMPD. They didn't name who attacked me, assaulted me. This guy falsely imprisoned me, this Kentucky State Trooper, right? He held me against my will, filed a false charge against me, a false warrant, executed a false warrant. That could have, if I was crazy, if I was a crazy, violent person on the loose that needed to be thrown in jail, this could have been a really bad situation for all involved. And it was over a library book. Alleged library book. I still want them to prove it to me because I don't. I remember checking out Hunter S. Thompson's Better Than Sex in Boone County, but I remember returning that library book. I remember enjoying that library book. I do remember checking out a book in Boone County it was like a spying book, some sort of like I don't know how to espionage. And so I'm sure I had moved to Ohio in 2004 to Medina, Ohio, because I was homeless. I had no place to stay. It wasn't working out with my aunts and uncles, and or my my parents. So I had no place to go, and so I just bailed and eventually got established in Medina, Ohio. Got a job, saved some money up, bought a car, and then I stayed there for a year, and then I came back. So that's sort of my 2004 years. Maybe we could talk about every other. I was born in 1982. So I don't know if there would have been a warrant for me in '83, but I hope it wasn't anything serious. So yeah, good times, man. Good times, great country. B105. Yeah. So peace out, Occupy Kentucky. There's poor people, so let's eat the rich. Let's poor people get free. Let's get rid of poverty. We can get rid of poverty. I'm a working class person. I've been through the struggle. I've been through the shit river. I've been eating a shit sandwich. I know what it's like to be poor and to be out here struggling. And it's not even Republicans versus Democrats. It's between those who care versus those who don't.